about commercial viability of investing in female producers, Dr. Pilcher. Can you talk to us about the power of women as a market and the power of female-driven content?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I chair the Women's Impact Network of the Producers Guild, and one of the projects that we did over the last couple of years was to create a toolkit of data, and it's called the Ms. Factor Toolkit. If you Google it, it'll come up. It's a 30-page report that is really a compilation of a lot of great studies. Some of Stacy Smith's studies are in there, but what we really wanted to do was to look at female storytelling through a particular lens and really make the case of the commercial viability of female-driven content. And I think, I have to say 2 years later, and we're continuing to update the website so that the data stays relevant and current, and it just keeps getting better and better. And I think that we are really in a moment now of sort of modern discovery that female-driven content, diverse-driven content is profitable. So there's an economic benefit aside from all of the pro-social reasons. The big question is, how do we make a change in the numbers, behind the camera? And so other parts of the toolkit, bring out things like the idea that if you are hiring diverse storytellers or female storytellers, then in those leadership positions, there's Stacy, jump in. I think it's 21% increase in the number of women and girls that you see on screen, and an increase in the number of females behind the screens or diverse people behind the screen. So it's this connection between who's telling the story, and that's where we have to go. Back to the system and how do people get hired and how are those choices made.
One thing I might add to that, and I'll look this up, in 2014, looking at the highest grossing films with female protagonists, or rather, female protagonist films earned 3.29% more on average than movies with a male lead, which I think is significant. And before I researched for this, I did not know that. So,
but Lesley, I just want to mention one other thing,
sure.
Which is that in researching all this, one of the things that really, and I produce a lot of female-driven content, and I produce for a lot of women directors, but the power of women as a market and the shift that has happened since 1970 it's phenomenal. And to the point that we are now, 50-50 in the marketplace, in the workforce. We're seeing the family structure change in terms of the roles that men are taking on in terms of parenting and childcare. And I think, we're seeing the degrees of women coming out of, educational institution in higher numbers than men and degrees. And I think the statistic that's really interesting is that women make 85% of all consumer decisions in the U.S. And we're moving, and it's still going up. The trend is still increasing, so that in the next decade, there's people are projecting that women will control 2/3 of consumer wealth. So the idea that women have taken this kind of position in the marketplace, and I think, with Paul's movies, Bridesmaids, Catherine Hardwicke, Twilight, this is when we were able to dispel these myths that women don't open movies, or that, you can't sell a movie abroad with a female star. I mean, it's just not true anymore. And the narrative of the people making the decisions has to shift to line up to the reality.